Wi-Fi, doo-doo Wi-Fi.
I think my Wi-Fi is A1 right now, actually. All right, we got Xfinity. Shout out Xfinity.
We were talking about your tournament and just how like both of us felt like our guys were clicking.
Mm. Yeah,
oh,
man, it's but like we were talking about with before we started recording, like a lot of times coaches coaching those younger guys, they don't measure success necessarily in the wins and losses as much, especially in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you start seeing them doing the things you're asking them to do, and then having success, and then it kind of starts clicking in their heads too, and it's like, okay, now we're heading the right direction.
Yeah, those first two games really helped them build confidence because they're playing bigger teams, and we were just beating the hell out of them. Like we were defensively just. I noticed in the first game that the first team couldn't handle pressure. Someone pressured someone for a possession. I was like, oh, they can't handle pressure. So we on the next time out, that was the adjustment. I was like, yo, pressure everything. I don't care. Like we're just gonna pressure. They'll force turnovers, layups. Second game, we just came out smacking that thing. Coach didn't call timeout until it was 27-7 with 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, got to use that before that point, man.
But no, like I said, even though we were 2-3, like I told him at the end, I said, it's not the result you guys probably wanted, but like I'm proud of how you guys played because being so undersized, every game was close. And you guys made a dogfight out of every game, and you guys made another step of becoming a really good team. And I was like, I firmly believe that if we would have had Keaton and Declan here, like we're contending to win this tournament. Like you guys need to understand that's how well you were playing. Like you figured it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Just trying to like put it in their head that they can win because they can.
Yeah, and with a high school team like that, you want them to feel that cohesion with those guys because it's not all just this. Like my team is just all the kids the same age from different schools, but so when they're going into their high school season, it's like, let's continue to do this, and continue to build on what we just left the summer on.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was like, I told them that this year's wide open. I was like, you guys got to understand that Bighorn and Pine Bluffs are both teams that were in the state championship last year, teams that have no more, all their senior class is gone, so it's a clean slate this year. There's a great opportunity to go win and stuff.
The floodgates have opened. It's funny, like once you see it in the NBA too, like once certain teams break up, it's like, all right, who's going to step in now and take that little void right there because there's one available.
Facts. That's always the fun part. It's like, oh, might as well. They're good enough. They have, and we've been working enough this summer that I feel confident that come season, if they keep getting in the gym with me, they're going to be a lot better. Dude, I have one kid that's going to be, if he can, he's a little goofy with his body because I think he grew a lot with it. His arms are just longer than, it's like Slender Man out there. But once he
not used to the length,
dude, once he figures it out, this kid I think is going to be one of those small town kids that could play D2 at a good school.
To find his way, yeah.
He's good.
That's what's up, man. Episode 23.
Yep.
Is it 23? Is that correct? I keep losing track of what we're at.
It's 23. We're close on 25.
Welcome back to the Kitchen Hook. Bush, I think that's a good segue, just what we were talking about, into one of the topics you brought up is what to expect, like kind of, or like what to be preparing for as a coach, maybe
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to get into the college coaching world and kind of where your status is as far as whether you're a player, whether you're maybe somebody that didn't play at the college level, um, to try and, you know, get a spot into that coaching world.
Yeah, you gotta. It's all about putting your name out there, really. Just trying to get your name out to as many people. Like for me, it was I just kept emailing Schaefer when he was at BH. I kept emailing him, and then finally it was gonna be to try out, but then he was just like, "Hey, I got this instead," and I was like, "Ooh, I see the better opportunity down that road, so let me just try this out,"
Mm.
and learned a lot under because he left, and obviously we were under Trumbauer, but learned a lot. But I don't know, just like you always just gotta be prepared, like you said, like having a binder. I don't know. That's one of those things that I think is important. I started building one like 2 months ago, a binder just of
And what's in that? Like, what are your things that you think are important to include in something like that?
so like I have it all tabbed off with different dividers, and I have a philosophy section, a drills section, a defense section, offense, and then baseline and sideline out of bounds section, and then just at the beginning is all notes, practice plans that because I got that from Shafe. Like I keep all my practice plans just so I know what
Hmm.
we did. And then I found like some stuff on the 1990 Bulls and Michael Jordan and how he incorporated like strength training and conditioning and stuff, and just trying to learn more for myself because we do condition as coaches. You do have to condition your players. You're not gonna not all of it relies on the strength coach, but
Yeah.
just showing that you have because when you go to a job interview, if you bring this, you're going to be more than likely to be. You're already setting yourself up for good success.
Yeah.
So
No, I
it's just
think
all about what you believe in as a coach. I think in the binder, always have it's like your own playbook. It's your own personal playbook with plays in it for games.
yeah, and I think it's, you're able to put a lot of pieces of what you're about into one place, like
Mm-hmm.
you said with your tabs broken down and all that type of stuff. But um, the one thing I like about it is that you can tailor it to what you think needs to be in there.
Yep.
Like maybe you're a guy that going into an interview that or putting your yeah maybe because you'd probably bring your binder to an interview is when you'd be bringing that. So like being able to have maybe an idea going in of what that job is going to entail and really be able to highlight those parts of it. So like for example, when I got the ops job at Minot State for that year for the men's and women's job, I knew it was going to be facilities related, and I was going to be kind of more on the camps and the backside of things more
Mm-hmm.
than I was in the coaching world. So, like, understanding or hopefully being able to get an understanding of what that job's going to need from you and being able to highlight those parts of it. But yeah, like for you, like in your instance with your binder, is if you're going into a coaching situation where you're going to be a shot caller in the offensive side of the ball or maybe the defensive side of the ball, and being able to show what you bring to the table in those
Mm-hmm.
areas, I think that's huge.
Yep. 100%. Shows you're organized too. Like that's the cool one
Mm-hmm.
thing about it. I like its organization. And two, one thing I also got from Shafe that I really liked is he had a shelf of all because he does binders for every year, and that way he pulled out a scout on someone from like 2 years ago, and we were looking at it and because that's how we shut him down that year, and we're like, oh shoot, let's do that. And it's like I was like
Mm-hmm.
for some reason I was like that makes so much sense to have because you know what, you're in a conference, you see kids 4 years. What if like a kid you saw as a sophomore who's always really good, and you just one night he had a bad night against you, and you're like, what did we do on the scout? Did we change anything? Did we do
Yeah.
anything different? Can we go back and look at that? You know, get also you can it just keeps record of what was going on the previous year. That's why I like the practice plans, so I can see like, all right, this is how we progressed. I write there. I make them shoot free throws and stuff, so I write free throws on there too. Um, but I just
And on
like,
the practice plans, bro, it's so cool to see like if you do keep all of them, how basic you started. Bless you.
thank you.
How basic things were at the start,
Oh,
and what you were able to, add on and keep piecing together throughout the year. That's always so cool to see.
for real, I have
And
one.
you're starting with like basic defensive principles like positioning and stuff, and then you're end the year working on crazy rotations or double teams or whatever.
You can actually do certain things. You can call stuff out in the like they know what it is. It's like you can put 3-on-3 on a side and like, oh nope, that I know what that is. Figured that out already.
Mm, yeah, man.
What did you like for you for coaching as a player? That's what I was going to ask you. What is, because it's always, I think it's different for a manager, from a like a student assistant manager position side of things, as opposed to a player, because you guys actually went through all the drills and in the in-game situations and stuff like that. Do you think that that holds maybe a little bit of an advantage sometimes?
Um, I think that the you would think so, yes, but you hear those stories of people that are great players, they aren't able to coach the game well, and some people that maybe didn't play the game at that level can communicate what they need with players way better than someone who might have. So yes, like yeah, you're able to bring in the personal experience of it a little bit, but that's not going to necessarily at the end of the day win you a job or not. But the one thing I wanted to say with you is like in your instance, you went into Black Hills with the intention of not getting onto the coaching staff, right? Like you just went to
Yeah,
go to school, correct?
yeah,
And but I also think of a guy like Colton Rapp. I think he follows us on Instagram and
yeah.
stuff, but I don't think he played at the college level either. He's a Laramie kid and has worked his way um, into the coaching world in his own way, and I think that's a a story for you. It's a story for me. Like everybody, it's so cool how the coaching world just everybody has their own little twists and turns to their path. But um, going into on the player side of things, I guess just like if you're going for a job and being a player, it's nice being able to bring in um, drills that you specifically remember, or concepts that you specifically remember working on in practice and how they work, and
Uh-huh.
being able to bring that to the coaching side of things. That's definitely something that I tried to utilize for sure when I was going for job interviews and stuff.
Well, it's a smart thing to do. I mean, you might as well use what I feel like that's just it's just your branch of who taught you before. Um, and then you kind of
Yeah.
just can take what they taught you and be creative and do it your own way. I
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of my stuff from like social media, Twitter, and stuff like that that I just go try out by
Like your
myself.
skill development stuff,
Yeah,
or
and then
like practice concepts and stuff.
skill development. I get
Yeah.
that stuff because I and then I go try it out by myself in the gym, and then if I like it, I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. We'll do this with the kids in the morning and see if
Mm-hmm.
they like it, you know. And everything that I've ever brought in, I've always told them like, hey, if there's something that we do and you think and you guys are like, this is the dumbest thing in the world, tell me it's the dumbest thing. Like, this is stupid, and we'll never do it
Mm.
again. I was like, a lot of this stuff, I'm just trying to see. Like, you guys are almost like an experiment that I'm trying to figure out what works best with player development. You know what I mean? What can we do to develop you guys the best way? It's always just trying to
Yeah.
figure out the best way possible to do it with certain drills that make sense, not bad. Like, you know what I mean? So I'll tell them, I'm like, yo, this drill you'll never do in a game, but it's going to help you in this situation.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's being able to break something down for them. But I wanted to ask you this, like, you obviously stepped into your or student assistant position. Um, what was it that you thought, initially, because it was Schaefer that brought you on first, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did he see in you, do you think, just, from what you
Just
know about it, that he saw in you that he was like, yeah, we would want to bring this guy on as a part of our staff?
just like I think, I don't know the word for it. The constant of the consistency of me reaching out and stuff, I guess.
Mm.
When I was in high school, I sent out emails to them to try and like play there. He saw a game of ours. Matter of fact, it was one of my best games ever in regionals. I had a double double, but he came and saw that game. But he was there to
Mm.
watch Cody Kelly though, because everyone was like, "Oh, Bush, he's here to watch you." I was like, "No, no, he's here to watch. He's here to watch Cody. Come
No,
on,
no.
no." But but I still played. Like, I still didn't let it by. I still went out and played and whatnot and had a good game that game. But then come school time, he kind of said he kind of was just like, hey, you haven't really had any a whole lot of offers. We don't have a whole lot of spots left. Like, we've already kind of recruited and whatnot, so we can't really do anything. But I told him I was coming as a student anyway. So went as a student because, in my opinion, I started the whole recruiting thing too late. I didn't know how to do it.
Mm.
And we were right before the social media boom where everything is super easy now with getting your film out.
Yeah, that's
You can
true.
get it to anyone like that. And so then the next year at school, halfway through, I just kept asking him. I was like, dude, like, I want to keep playing it. Can I come? Let me try out. Like, let me just try out or whatever. And I kept asking, and finally, and he'd see me in the gym all the time. Like, I was in the gym all the time playing and
Mm.
going to all these open gyms and whatnot, taking it serious and lifting and stuff. And then he was just like, hey man, like, you didn't really have any offers out of high school or anything like that. This is where, like, I like that you keep reaching out and stuff, and I can see that you love basketball. So we do have this open for you if you want to do it. He's like, take a couple days to think about it, and then shoot me an email or come by and see me, and we'll talk about it. I was like, all right, cool. And so, like, 2 days later,
Yeah.
he was out recruiting. I just shot him an email and said, hey, I want to do this. I want to help out.
And so you think it was your persistence and just
Yeah.
kind of the fact that you were always around?
Uh-huh.
That's something, we talked about how everybody has a different path, but that is something that you see in common with a lot of people's stories is like the staff always saw their face, or they were always in the gym, or their name was always popping up in conversation or in emails
Mm-hmm.
or text messages or something. And I think there's something to be said for that, and it's like, I think above all else, if you show that you're willing to put in and fulfill your role in whatever role that they have available for you, they'll find stuff for you to do in most situations.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some student managers or student assistants, they don't do a dang thing, but I know you were put to work.
We
I
had
know
some that tried to come be student managers, and they just weren't cut out for it. Like, they 2 days in or 3 days in, they'd be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and
those
Trump
ones are
would
always
come
funny. It's like,
Trump would test them. Trump would test them with with certain things. Like, hey, you got to get the pad, and he'd get all aggressive with how he would say it too, like, hold the pad, like hit him, and get all like mad at him
Yeah.
and stuff. And then I remember seeing one of them looking at him like, dang, dude, I'm not a player, bro. Like, what are you doing? I was
They
like,
didn't
yeah,
want
it's not gonna last
that.
very long.
That's hilarious. He would get
We had
after you guys. I remember that. Like, you guys really had to go to war with those bigs down there.
if we didn't have a ball in the hand, if we didn't have a ball in our hand, it was sad.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, that's
We,
but I think that's like you said, some people they aren't ready for that pace and that intensity of the college atmosphere. Like
uh-huh.
they think they just want to be a part of something that's fun and like, oh, I can say I'm the manager or whatever on the team and get water cups and stuff at games and sit on the bench, but it's like,
Yeah.
nah, when you come to practice, you got to be ready.
I just can't get and two part the reason I stayed with it too is one, I wanted to be a coach, but two, I just can't quit if I've started something. I have to see it through.
Yeah.
I have to do the whole thing and then sit back and be like, okay, how was that? Let's look
Hmm.
back and assess that. I was laughing though because it's so funny. Like we'd be doing shell drill and the football would go flying across the court. Another ball would just be tossed in like immediately. Just one ball toss in.
Yeah.
Someone would always be looking for a basketball to be thrown into
Yeah.
the pile.
You learned. You
So
learned where it was coming from. You
yeah,
just it was kind of like knowing where your teammates are on the floor. We always knew where you guys were to throw us a ball and we could get back going.
the
Because that
funny.
was one thing I remember. He did not like downtime, like in between
No,
drills or like in
no,
between even reps. He did not like downtime. I
no.
remember that. And if you were
Active.
just kind of trotting over to your spot, let's go.
um, he oh, what was I gonna say? It was so shell drill. He was notorious for going long in shell drill, right? That would be so funny
Mm.
because it would be set for like 15, 20 minutes, and I'd kind of look at it and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is gonna go about an hour, and I just knew too.
More like 45,
It'd get
yeah.
to about the 1 minute mark, and I used to set like 5 minutes on there, and then I have to reset five every time. So I started putting like 15. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna put 15.
Oh,
One
we
day
always noticed, trust me.
one day I just was like, did you just want me to put 99 minutes on the clock? He's like, yeah, might as well.
Yeah, when we would do like the breakdown defensive stuff into, and then we would lead up to shell, that process would always take like nothing short of 50 minutes.
I'm gonna give him this though, because his attention to detail defensively was impressive.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's why you guys were so good defensively too, for like being able to keep games in the 50s and 60s and not let it get up to the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
is because we would spend so much time on shell drill, and it was detailed. Like it has to be perfect, but it can't just be one perfect rep. It
Hmm.
has to be two, three continuously perfect reps. That way, okay, they got it. And I tried to
Yeah.
do that sometimes at Western, but it just felt like we just want the whole philosophy there was get to the next thing, get to like let's get through our whole practice plan. When maybe
Yeah.
you have to take an hour on shell drill because we're not good defensively. You know what I mean? Because we weren't
Yeah.
defensively.
No, that's but I think that comes down to what you emphasize. Like as much as I think Coach Trumbauer loved the offensive side of things and everything, he knew that we probably had to be really good defensively, which we did,
Yeah,
especially the style we played. We had to be good on defense.
yeah. Especially
But
the second year too, with how young how
yeah,
young and the mixture of age.
but I would say we were better on defense that year
Yeah,
than we were our first year
yeah. I could agree with that.
because Patty on the wing, Frazier adding a little length. We definitely had more rim protection my senior year. even though it wasn't much. We had Mueller and not a shot at you, Mueller. I just know you're not a big shot blocker. No disrespect. Um,
I
and
mean, we
Sam
didn't have
Mayer.
shot blockers. We
But
just had like really good. They were just good fundamentally of being straight, like not fouling. How many times did
yeah,
we ever have Max or Sam Mayer in foul trouble in a pretty good big like a league that was big dominant at the time?
yeah, I could think of a couple. Like I know Colorado Mines got them. They got all
Yeah,
of our bigs in foul trouble. I think down in Colorado, but no, we just had more size. Like that first year we had Yosh. Yosh was playing our five the majority of the time.
me and Miles were talking about that, dude. If Yash would have been 2 inches taller, 3 inches taller, that dude would have been
He'd have been a
D1
monster.
monster. But that's just the what if game. What if everyone has the what if to them, you know what I mean?
Yosh
Um,
just had that dominant drop step. He would just move him out the way with his butt because he was so strong, and then be like, "Whoop, bah!"
Yosh
Finish
funny.
at the rim.
It was hilarious how Yosh got the green light to shoot threes. That
Oh
that was
God.
funny to me. The one time he hit that long two and ran back like this, I was like, bro, get get him off the court. He's
Oh
embarrassing us
man.
all right now. Please get him off the court.
Hey, there were a couple. There was like a stretch there where Yosh was dominating. Like he was
Oh yeah,
getting like 20 a game, and he was dominating. Then he had a little dip, but I remember there was a 2 or 3 game stretch there where Yosh was getting to it.
he could too for how little he was. He was a little big
Mhm.
man, like you said, dude. His lower body could move people.
He was all about positioning. Like, I'm gonna get you to my spot, boop, bump you off me a little bit, and go finish that
And would
thing.
say the funniest, most out of pocket things at at the most wrong time.
Oh man, that team was fun, man.
Yo, you
That
got a
was a
left
fun team.
hand? Shit, I don't know.
I feel like Yosh wasn't even trying to be funny half the time, though. He was just answering the question.
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh Lord, he's did he? Oh, he was Otero. He was Otero. That's where he played.
He was Otero, yeah. What's this? Let's move on to this because I
Oh
feel like we're
yeah.
gonna get talking about this. What you wanted to ask me about the '90s thing?
Oh, dude, I don't know. It was just a weird thought. So you know how it's always like people that watch the NBA in the '90s, will always say like Jordan did it better.
Yeah,
The
just that the
basketball was
'90s were
better.
impactful.
It was the
Yeah,
best era of basketball. You know what I was thinking the other day is because they've seen everything. They were the first people to see the cool stuff, and now they've just seen it for so long that it's like, oh, cool, another dunk or something like that.
here's my thing though. Like,
Not, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, keep going, keep going.
Well, it's not like just the dunk. It's just like, okay, they've seen the same shot making probably too, same kind of stuff. So it's like they're like, oh yeah, we started that, so we're the best. We're number one. We're the first ones that did this type of basketball.
Yeah, but I think there are things players do in the game today that like they weren't being done in the '90s, especially skill level wise.
No,
Not saying players now are more athletic because there's arguments both ways where like, if you say people nowadays are more athletic, people will be like, well, Jordan had a 1,000-inch vertical or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So they'll just have these numbers and stuff to rebuttal you. So I'm just saying, and I'm talking about this from a guy that does skill work stuff. the skill level just on like the ability to handle the ball,
Dude, for
the
real.
things that people do on the move without the ball, it's at a different level because I think basketball coaches and people realized and players realized there's more to this than just dunks and setting down screen. It was like the more skilled you are, the better shots you can get off, and that's how the game's evolved. And so I think like in that aspect, to me, there's no comparison as far as that goes, skill
Yeah.
level wise.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. Um, I'd say I do miss how I don't know, dude. Just with, I guess at the same time, it's just a 50-50 way because with how well skill development is, good, the great offense always beats great defense today.
Yeah.
You just there's nothing. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. Steph Curry could go between the legs 15 times, go behind the back, step back, and throw some bullshit up and make it. And you're like, all right, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's just what he does. Back then, it was not. There wasn't as many guys that could do that. So defensively, I think that's why you saw
Yeah,
closer games
exactly.
too, because you could pack it in a little bit more. Like I was watching Nick Van Exel highlights the other day, and he is one of the first people that could really just like create for himself with the
Mm,
ball and everything. He played like a modern day player does.
yeah. Yeah, and I think to your point, that's a good take is because yeah, the '90s were when that first fantastic era of basketball was, to me at least.
Hmm.
No disrespect to like Magic and Bird in the '80s and all them, but the NBA was still struggling at that point. But the
Yeah,
'90s is kind of when it took off, um, and that's a good take, bro. I honestly can't disagree with you on that.
which one about the nine about what did I say there? Um,
About how the '90s was like the first, like those people
oh
that think that
yeah,
about the '90s.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's
That's
just
why they think it.
yeah, and I was thinking about that in the car the other day. I was just like, man, a lot of this stuff just comes to my mind in the car, and I've had to learn to write it down in my notes on my phone, or else I'll just be driving
Yeah.
or listening to music or something. I'm like, oh, that's a good thing to talk there. That light bulb clicked there.
Yeah. I'll have those too sometimes where it's like, oh, this would be good to talk about on the podcast.
Hmm.
But then it does slip. I need to be better about that.
Yeah. All right. So might as well just talk. I just might as well just talk about this because I want to get the people's thoughts on this about the idea we talked about this morning on text message
Hmm.
about maybe doing that. The idea is that me and Tate pick a what do we say either a transfer or a returning player from every team in the RMAC, and then get them on an episode here on the podcast and make it like its own little series or something like that where they're all together that we can preview this upcoming season, and talk about maybe their goals, the team's goals, stuff like that. I don't know.
In the
Um,
RMAC. Did you say
yeah,
that? I don't know if you said
RMAC,
in the
yeah, in the
RMAC. Cool.
RMAC.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a fantastic idea. And I think we should certainly slide in some DMs and see if, people will bite. You know what I mean? Um, but some support from some listeners would be good too. I can think of a couple guys that I would ask already, but
Me too. Yeah, me
there are some of
too.
those teams that we don't have, much connection with at all.
So
So
that's
those
where,
might
yeah.
take some work.
But that's where you guys help us out too. Is if you know the people or like someone from a team and you're like, hey, talk to them. We know them. Let us know. Because I think this obviously the RMAC is pretty much what this was started around. So
Hmm.
I'm excited for this next year and see how it plays out because of all the new stuff, all the new teams that are going to happen, especially with our next guest and their new squad and the hype that they're going to be having because they brought in some dudes.
Yeah, it's we were gonna do it this week and things happen, but that's all right, and so we'll see him then. But I like your idea, Bush, of getting that done because if we get one from every team, that's a nice chunk of episodes there that will probably take us pretty close into RMAC season.
Yep.
So it'll be right in time.
I agree.
Once RMAC play does tip off.
Someone let Commissioner Chris Graham hear this, and hey, man, we'll do your RMAC preview with the coaches too. Just let us know. Get us in touch with them. We'll help you guys out. I think that'd be cool.
We have some good questions.
Oh, yes. And a couple new coaches in the league too to see how they view the RMAC. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, I don't really got a whole lot more left to say. This is another short one.
Yeah, I think that's it. Again, it's good tuning back in with the Kitchen Hook.
Oh. Brandon Jefferson and them. He was balling.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of RMAC stuff.
They lost in the championship, but dude, he is a hooper. Good Lord.
He's kind of one of those very certified buckets out of the RMAC.
Yeah.
Brandon Jefferson. Who else would be on that list? I got to put Ferris in there.
I'll put who? Ferris?
Riley Ferris, big fella from.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm putting Ragsdale on that. Ragsdale. Scott. A cool cot. Can't forget a cool cot.
See, so many. This is Joel. This is not disrespect to you. I don't see Joel as a straight bucket getter.
Are you talking?
Joel
you talking like off the?
I mean, just a dude that has like a crazy bag and can just get buckets like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, I'll agree
because
with
to
that.
me, just for comparison, like as dominant as both big men were, Riley Ferris was a very different player than Joel Scott was.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So
Agreed.
and they scored in much different ways. So
I agree. Okay, I'll agree with that.
That's kind of what I mean. Yeah.
A cool cot is up there.
Yeah.
D. White when he was in
Derek White.
Bro, who was the kid from Highlands?
Mitch McCarron.
Who was the lefty from
There were
Highlands?
a couple from
Sammy Barnes was a bucket.
Sammy Barnes Tompkins. But
Raekwon
Sammy
Mitchell.
Barnes played with Raekwon Mitchell. That's who it was, yeah. Oof. He was nasty.
They had some good. Before you were there, they had a couple dudes they had a dude from Baylor, Manny, and then there's another guy. They were Highlands always somehow gets those guys.
I know they do. They have that weird connection somehow.
Mm-hmm.
To get those random dudes that are bucket getters.
Yeah, there we go. Just down another road.
Yeah, we need to cut this off before this goes down another road.
It happens every time. You know where to find us, Spotify, all that good stuff. YouTube. Comment. Let us know what you guys think about that. Idea with the RMAC preview deal. I know our guy with RMAC Insider will let us know, so I'm looking forward to what he has to say because he'll give us an idea. So, all right, folks. Episode 23, Kitchen Hook Podcast. Peace.
Bye-bye.